Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Well, folks, we are back for another week of our way far behind Mandalorian show.
Yes, nothing has been spoiled, and it is truly a miracle. I cannot believe that I don't know what the ending is.
Yeah, I mean, that is a little surprising, although, you know, we talk a lot about the fervor, so to speak, of maybe some of the Star Wars stuff being a little lessened of late. But
yeah, I'm not heavy into social media or anything, but it does certainly seem like people aren't talking much about Star Wars anymore, which comes and goes. I get that.
Yep, unfortunately, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll just keep chugging along until we stop chugging.
Until we eventually convert it to the all bourbon podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously something we've kind of discussed here and there, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But
Until then, just keep drinking beer and talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, I guess so. So I suppose best thing to do would just be to go ahead and get it out of the way. How's your week been?
Effing terrible.
Wow.
It's been crazy so far. Father's Day was great. Got to relax a little bit, kind of getting into last week. We went to Texas Day, Brazil with Dad. Had some good fun there. Ate way too much. Woke up full. That's always a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Had some fun there. Relaxed all Father's Day. Got a gift certificate for a tattoo, so you're going to have to help me get some suggestions in for some nerdy stuff.
Really?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
You got a gift certificate for a tattoo.
Yeah. Because that's the only way she'll ever get me to do it. It's like, well, there's money committed to it, so you have to take some time and spend some money on yourself.
Oh, boy. That's that's interesting.
That. Yeah. Well, we've talked about it on the podcast before. I've been planning to do it for a while. It's just one of those things I've never done for myself. Obviously, we've gotten a couple here recently, so probably go the same route and go for some nerdy stuff. I've kind of keep going back and forth between Star Wars and Lord of the Rings right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's all a very, very personal thing, I think. And
it is.
When you find something, you'll sort of know, and then you just go and get it.
Yeah. I feel to me personally, it's more about doing something for yourself than being able to explain to someone else and rationalize it or brag about it. It's just, I thought it was cool. I'm not asking for opinions,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, that's interesting. Yeah, obviously the sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just agreeing. Or not been a great week. Work's been lots of fun dealing with getting rejected from the promotion that I feel personally that I'm owed, but
really?
Yeah, I've been doing the work of a manager for about 4 months now, and was basically told this week during our raises and promotions that were given out to the entire team that it is the company policy that I continue to do the work of the position I'm going for and train my replacement in the process. So I got no time frame whatsoever to actually get the title and raise to what I'm actually doing. So not a great week for work.
Interesting. Well,
a lot of corporate jargon. I don't know how much you deal with that with the banking world, but a lot of, well, you need to train your replacement. These things take time. Can't just promote someone based on merit. Has to go through the corporate channels and everything.
Yeah, that's not generally speaking how we operate normally. Normally, it's a if somebody goes, then you find a replacement. It's not necessary. I mean, you should, in a way, figure out how to train your replacement. That's not necessarily an unheard of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little odd, I guess, what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, it just ramps up the search for the tech job, which has
Fair.
been very fruitful so far, but hopefully here soon.
Well,
It's
that's
only been
too
a couple
bad.
months, so
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit as we go along.
yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's something. Definitely something.
Yeah, it is. Everything else this week has been positive though, so it can't be totally negative. Getting the house ready for sale, and that's been going well, and all that fun stuff and loans and everything is working out. So a lot to be happy about.
Yeah.
Not too bad all in all.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that was
Just-
crybaby Darth time. So
It
yeah.
is.
I'm just kidding.
Now I'm just I got some anxiety because the dog was left in the room and the dog is getting angry and I'm worried the dog is going to start barking. So if you hear noises, I apologize.
Okay. Well, apologies are necessary because that's your
They
fault.
are. It is unacceptable. If only I truly had the powers of the Force, I could open this door so that poor dog could get away from me.
If only.
If only. Stronger in the dark side. The rage of the week has not been affecting me enough. I need to work on my rage.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's something. But yeah, I mean, I guess this week hasn't been all that spectacular. Obviously, yeah, we did our whole little Father's Day trip. And that was fine. That was fun. That was a good time. Ate a lot. And then I mean the rest of my longer weekend because of Juneteenth was just mainly fence stuff. So that's largely done. Just a couple of finishing touches here and there to do this weekend, and yeah, work and my
work
I
and
don't
get
know.
home and work.
Yeah, I mean my I don't know. My weeks aren't all that interesting, to be fair, I guess. So
It's a good thing we didn't have this conversation on the Bourbon Podcast. All the inhibitions would have been gone, and we've been complaining and cussing up a storm.
Well, man, I mean, yeah, it's definitely something. Obviously, you shoot for the best, but doesn't always burn around like that. So anyway,
always opens up new opportunities. So that's cool.
Yeah, fair. I mean, now everything's just about further projects, really. I've got my week off coming up. I always take the the first week of July off. So
nice.
We're looking
I'll
at
be doing a extended weekend as well. Not sure what I'm going to do. Plans kind of fell through. We'd planned to go to a campgrounds for 4th of July weekend, and we had thought that we had prepaid everything, and there was some fine print stuff that I guess we missed at the time, and it was going to be an extra like $1,200 to stay there for the weekend. So we did end up canceling. So yeah. Dang. It's one of those bigger chain campgrounds that are like across the country. I can't think of the name of them now, but
is it that one that I went to?
Yes. Yeah, with the cabin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We had prepaid quite a bit, but like I said, it's gonna be another $1,200 for the weekend. So we will have to find a new place to watch fireworks this year, which is fine. But,
well, I mean, depending on your time, or what you guys have going on, you could always just come on down here Monday, watch good old Red, White, and Boom.
Yeah, haven't gotten to see it, so that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that's what we're doing. So
Yeah.
you're all going to join. It's we generally park a little ways away and then just walk down and then walk back. It's pretty simple. I remember I remember when the parents used to talk about Red, White, and Boom because it was on TV and all that stuff. And oh man, downtown, that's terrible. You don't want to be down there. That's a terrible place to be, right?
They're very scared of Columbus for sure.
Yeah, I mean if you know some of your way around, it's not that big a deal, but yeah, no. If you yeah, there you go. If you want to come down, you're more than welcome. None of you that are listening to this, you can't come. I mean,
no,
if
don't
you're
try
there,
to find us.
If you're there, don't say anything. Just don't acknowledge us.
Yeah. Please don't. And now I kind of have to because our tens of listeners will call me out if I don't go. They hear about next week.
Oh boy. Oh man. There you go. But yeah, no, aside from that, I'm trying to look at some potential quotes for gravel and then
yeah, I'm on the same boat, so
oh boy.
not fun.
Well, I mean there are a few different places on here. I think for the space it'll probably be between $500 and $600, but we'll kind of see.
Yeah.
And then
I'm looking to re-gravel quite a few things. So
you have a lot. You have a lot of gravel.
Yeah, a lot of that driveway has been completely just washed away to nothing. So it's not just a touch up. It's essentially a new driveway in a way. So yeah, it'll be a lot, but it will make a huge difference when it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, and then I've got some other little projecty things to do, but that's the biggest one. We want our parking spaces. So
yeah, I bet you're excited about that. I know you're not a big fan of street parking.
No,
as should everyone be. To hell with street parking. It's stupid.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. So there you go. There has been our week. It is super interesting. And one other thing, this will be fun for technically the other podcast, but here we go. So there is actually a bourbon drop this Saturday at select liquor places.
For Buffalo?
No, it's
okay.
a Russell's.
Russell's is good.
So it is it's a single barrel Russell's Reserve Private barrel selection.
Ooh, nice.
And basically
Russell's kind of reminds me of Woodford, kind of similar in a way. Don't know if I've ever had that. That's more basic ones.
Well, you can get, the Russell's 10, which is, it's legitimate 10-year bourbon, and it's fairly cheap and it's readily available, so it's a good alternative. But yeah, I was kind of thinking about seeing if there's a possibility to get that, and I mean, we'll obviously, gotta go and see, but that would be kind of fun. So there, bourbon.
Are they local?
Don't know.
Stores?
Well, it's just kind of a select thing. They'll post the places like the day of, and then basically it's like 9 a.m. type of deal. So it's through like the Ohio Liquor Agency. If you go and like on there, you should sign up for their emails because they do have like a bourbon lottery once a season.
Oh, really?
And so forth. I actually missed the spring one, but there's some stuff that they send out which is kind of fun. So something for you to look into, and for those of you who are in Ohio and enjoy that kind of stuff, there you go. Every state's a little different. So
yeah. Never had heard of that, so good to know. Thank you.
There we go. Well, anyway, what do you think? You want to talk a little War of the Stars here?
Yeah, exciting episode, so let's get into it.
Yeah, so we've got obviously season 3. We're on episode 7, chapter 23, The Spies, and this is the second to last episode. Do they call that the penultimate? Is that what it is? Is that the word for it?
I can honestly say I've never heard that word.
Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
My smarter friends on These Are the Voyages have words for
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So there we go. But yeah, so second to last episode here, we're narrowing it down to the end, and yeah, I guess we can go ahead and kick it in. A little over 50-minute episode. Obviously, the episode doesn't span that much because we have these grandiose beginnings and lots
The
of
big recaps.
post credits and stuff like that. So not quite 50 minutes,
Mhm.
but we open up with our what is her name? God, I'm terrible.
I did not pull up. I didn't think I'd be challenged by it this week, so I did not pull up cast list.
You know what's funny? What's also super awesome? That apparently my mouse died.
Oh, that's wonderful. So that is my job.
So did you guys enjoy that commercial break? That was literally a fractional second.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
You ever you get that point when you panic? You just absolutely panic and just start trying to do things, and it messes everything up.
You lose all memory of how anything works.
Yeah, I have no idea if any of that screwed up or not. I really don't. I'm going to go back and edit it. Some of that might just be gone. I really don't know. I'll have to see when the file comes through. Yeah. Heck, dude, I might have lost everything for all I know.
Well, we can always just do a quick summary. Week was it was a thing,
Yeah, let's just move on. Anyway, start of the episode.
I had some great technical difficulties before we started. I was trying to watch the episode, and I was setting up my mic boom stand because I just got a new one. And I dropped it, and somehow, miraculously, it dropped on. I have TV monitors. I don't use computer monitors. It dropped on my remote and somehow turned off both TVs.
Goodness.
And in the process, it decided to just send a little code to the TVs that says, hey, don't work properly for about 20 minutes. Excellent. I had to unplug them multiple times to get them to work again. Good times.
All right. So let's restart here. So we're getting into our episode. We have our spy, whose name is
Spy. Her name is Aaliyah Kane.
There we go.
A name that I did not remember.
Yeah, whatsoever. I know. Then that's why I was trying to look it up and realize my mouse was dead.
Yeah, but it's not even I kind of know the name. It's oh, that's not something I stored in my memory.
Yeah, for sure. So she's working for Moff Gideon. We know that. But she's sort of in communication here and kind of lets him know about this Mandalorian threat of which he's concerned about. He's
rightfully so.
Little disbelieving that this could possibly be a thing.
Yeah, the only thing that could be worse is Luke showing up again. Essentially for him.
Absolutely. So then we kind of walk through Gideon's sort of lair here. We see his clone vats. So he's doing the cloning. And
no foreshadowing here whatsoever.
Not even a little bit. And then we get our sort of meeting of various First Order Remnant officers, which I think is kind of fun. And
Imperial Remnant officers.
Yeah.
Not First Order.
Did I say First Order?
You did.
Oh, my bad. Imperial Remnant officers. Well, there you go.
The new trilogy, it's First Order Remnant.
Well,
they're terrible.
Well,
if
they're
to
gonna
do
be.
That.
They're gonna be First Order Remnant. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get this Grand Admiral Thrawn reference here.
Yeah. Which is the most wishy-washy drop ever. It's once he returns, no one's heard from him in a long time. He's not returning.
Well, yeah.
No hints whatsoever here. Just blind faith that he'll return.
Yeah, and we also get Pelion here too, Galad Pelion, who we've obviously seen more than just this time.
Yeah.
So we're not just making up a bunch of people, but he's pushing effectively for Thrawn's return, and then we also have what was it? It was Commandant Hux, correct?
Yes.
And this is this is Hux from the First Order's father. It's his Faja, who we met in the Aftermath books.
Mm-hmm. Time for a reread of those.
I think it would kind of be interesting.
Yeah, I got some extra Audible tokens. I think I might pick them up just to listen to at work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Pelion is kind of an interesting character that maybe, down the road we talk a little bit more about in depth, perhaps, if we ever, kind of get to that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I think that it's an interesting drop, but you're right. It was a little wishy-washy. It's kind of like, but one day he'll return. And everybody's very skeptical about this. And, of course, we all assume that this is what we're getting in Ahsoka. That's the setup for Ahsoka. We figure. Yeah. So Gideon, his plan here is basically wanting resources. He wants resources from the collective here that basically are being held in reserve. Brendel Hux has resources for his project. Pelion has resources sort of in reserve for the potential Thrawn return. And, Gideon here is trying to pool this in the guise of we could share it with everybody. Mm-hmm. But in reality,
there's a new threat to deal with.
Correct. And what breeds more paranoia or, movement of resources but a new threat?
Yeah.
Granted, a Mandalorian threat is pretty significant potentially. Mm-hmm. But we get sort of an agreement, and he's going to get his Praetorian guards and some TIE bombers and a few other resources. So,
yeah.
Well, then we move back to I've misnamed this planet so many times in the prior episode. I'm just going to let you say it if you remember it. It's Navarro, right?
Yeah, it's Navarro.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think I kept calling it Navarro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the last one. I never caught that. But anyway, we get this meeting of all the Mandalorians that we met in last week's episode with old Wolf and Casca Reeves and everything, and we're meeting with the cultist Mandalorians, and this is it's significant because we have two different factions who are very, very different in their, in quotations, way.
Yeah, in a way, quite bitter enemies. We kind of get this further into the episode, but biggest threat to Mandalorians are themselves. Ultimately, they do not mesh well together.
And there's been ample history of the infighting and everything, and
yeah, they're very Sith-like. To be quite honest,
They kind of are. Anyway, we do get Grief Karga here coming through with a little bottle. Yeah, it's like, hey man, I brought you a little present for your buddies. One little bottle.
Mando, let's get lit. Just us.
Just with one little bottle.
The pirates kind of cost us some money here.
Correct. And then we get potentially one of the most hilarious things. I think one of the most hilarious things. IG,
yes,
but not IG. We get
Gundam IG.
Yeah, we get the Gundam IG that comes complete with a yes or no button for little Grogu to sit in. Grogu has a mech suit. Honestly,
now, if only he still had his low lightsaber to use with the mech suit.
Well, he chose his way, not the way of the saber.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, this is probably one of the top 5 things that have ever come out of Star Wars. I'm pretty happy about it.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really well done. It was hilarious. Just, it's like, get out of there. No.
Them walking through the city, he just keeps going, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
So it's obviously showing that he does understand kind of what's going on around him. He just doesn't have the linguistic skills for whatever reason.
It'd be interesting if we touch on this a little more and kind of give him better communication skills through IG-12. It'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like essentially the whole thing where it's like, you put this on your dog and you can communicate with your dog. Oh, God, I don't want to communicate with my dog now.
Walk now.
Soup.
Outside.
Soup. Frog.
Outside.
Frog. Soup. Frog.
Well, we get a little bit of comedy here with Grogu sort of like trying to take, food from a vendor, and Mando's having to pay for all this stuff that he's basically scarfing down. It was a little bit
Mando
of fun.
got paid, by the way.
Who honestly, who knows? Who
Mando's
even knows how
probably
money
getting pretty
works?
Yeah, probably getting broke.
I would assume so.
Unless it's like from the commune, all the Mandalorians pool their money and they just get to share it all.
Yeah,
I don't know. That is the way, comrade.
100%. So we do switch perspective here, back to the Mandalorian encampment, and we're having a little hog roast, just a little barbecue at night.
Yeah.
And Bo is basically wanting to lead a scout party to Mandalore. We are looking to retake Mandalore, and she's asking for volunteers. And we're seeing the respect that she has garnered in both camps because she gets volunteers from both camps.
Yeah,
and that's
pretty much all of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a small scouting party. We're all going.
Small guys. I don't need 40 of you.
It is really cool to see, because now we have the light cruiser and we have a few other smaller ships and so forth.
Yeah,
we have the
fleet.
Yeah, we have the makings of like a small fleet. It's fun. It's fun to see, especially post Empire, rebuild, and
mini
no
Corvette
Republic
class cruiser and everything. It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously very reminiscent more of the Clone Wars than the time of Palpatine and everything. This is seems like older tech here still.
Would have been pretty sweet if they would have used some of the old Clone Wars era transport ships.
Oh, well,
seeing a bunch of Mandalorians drop out of those instead of troopers, especially with the irony of it being essentially, troopers being a clone of a Mandalorian to that'd be pretty sweet to see.
Well, in quotations, not a Mandalorian.
Amen.
Not really a Mandalorian. Like, not by blood, just by creed.
I identify as a Mandalorian.
Effectively. So we get our sort of party here of folks that are coming down. And again,
still
idea.
A huge scouting party. Like, still ended up being too many.
It was quite a few, but it's fine. You move in force.
I love how Mando's like the only one not sitting as he is. Like, it's fine. I'll just stand here awkwardly.
Yeah, he's cool. So we do get down to the planet, but the planet is not uninhabited. And we're not just talking about creatures. We actually have Mandalorians who have been surviving on this planet since the Purge.
We have the remnant of Mandalorians.
Yeah. Well,
which is pretty cool. They look pretty rough. They've gone through a lot. They're definitely suffering from some PTSD. Not every Mandalorian in this group has actually dealt with the Purge, and you can tell the difference between the ones that have and haven't. We even have little conversations about that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I like this kind of fleshing out of the story, honestly. We also get the story of how Bo-Katan effectively lost the Darksaber, and she was trying to bargain for her people, which didn't work out.
And it's interesting to me because the way they went with this scene definitely seemed like we were going to have some deserters. So it was kind of cool to see that even clearly through their frustration, they still stuck with her. It just kind of lends itself to how good of a leader she is.
Yeah. I agree. Definitely agree. Um, how'd you like their little machine that they have?
What are you referring to?
Their little pirate machine here that they're
Oh,
riding along on.
the little weird Pirates of the Caribbean skip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I
Totally
mean,
gonna enjoy this for a long time.
oh, for a long time.
Yeah.
A long time. Um, we also get a little bit of, the old and the new, the cult and the non-cult conflict. We're still getting this conflict because we really haven't resolved anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it winds up kind of culminating in a fight between, Paz Vizsla and what is his full? It's Wolf something, right?
I just
Dick
saw it.
Wolf.
Hold on. It's not Dick Wolf.
I know it's not Dick Wolf.
I know you want it to be, but it is certainly not. Hold on, I am getting there. But
Well,
it is.
see, the problem is that like um gosh, my brain is so
Axe
tight.
Wolves.
Axe Wolves.
Axe Wolves.
But we also have my God, I cannot think tonight. But I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't even want to ask because I will embarrass myself because I should just know this, but I'm just so blank. Who's the current savior of Star Wars, Austin?
The current savior of Star Wars.
Yeah.
You talking about Filoni?
Yeah. Dave Filoni's character was also a wolf or something like that.
Yes, our X-wing pilot.
God. I feel terrible. I'm just maybe I need to go to bed. Maybe I just need to be tucked into bed and just go to sleepy sleep. Anyway.
Hey, I can find it. Don't worry. I have a mouse.
Yeah, it's terrible. So anyway,
you still not have a mouse? Just
nope, it's still just doing a charge. And maybe I need to reboot my computer or something. I don't know. I don't care. It's whatever.
It's Trapper Wolf.
Trapper Wolf. Yeah,
that's the wolf we're talking about.
There we go, Trapper. Anyway, so we get our fight. It doesn't last very long because Grogu intervenes in his mech suit. No. I also like the little head nod, he gives Mando. Yeah. It's sign of growth, He's understanding more around him.
The way. He's understanding the way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what epic episode would be complete without a ridiculous kaiju level monster?
Oh God.
That we briefly see, and it just is not in the show anymore.
Yeah. Before that, though, I really had kind of a lot of thoughts of like danger. The armor brings back up to our ship survivors, people who are injured.
Yeah, which obviously sets you up for potentially what's going to be a huge battle, foreshadowing for it at least.
Well, my thing was I thought they were just going to be shot down by Gideon's
fleet. Yeah, absolutely. I saw the fleet. It's like, oh God, what is going to happen?
And, so I will say great job at building suspense in the episode. Absolutely. Because I was like, they're all just going to be shot down, right? Like the armor is going to go up there and just be in flames, right?
Yeah, and it's the casual nature of the armor that I think makes me feel the most anxious at that moment.
100%.
Really got to wonder if that was even the intent of the scene, or if it was filler.
That's a great question. For me, I just hope it was meant the way it was, the way I took it. So
yeah, if so, I really appreciate it.
No doubt. But then, yes, we eventually get our big monster who just destroys our little skiff here completely.
Yeah.
And
It definitely kills multiple Mandalorians in the process.
Sure does. Very interesting.
Really cool scene.
It is cool. The visuals on Mandalore, I think, are really, really neat. Yeah, it's odd though that like they've survived all this time and then they just happen to run into this giant monster.
I know. How many years has it been and this happens?
Yeah.
I love the post-apocalyptic feel of this portion of the episode, though.
Right.
Really appreciate it.
Same here. Same here.
And the lighting is like perfect, even in these dark caverns. Like the aesthetics of this episode are probably one of the highest points of the series, I'd say.
I agree. No, I agree. You remember when the last season of Game of Thrones came out, and we get to the Battle of Winterfell, and they just
so
forgot
dark.
to light it.
So dark.
People were turning their contrast around, brightness up, and all this stuff. And
we watched it on a projector and had so little light control. It was so terrible.
Yeah, and I remember like, a lot of the talk at the time. Oh, it was intentional. It's like it looked like crap.
No,
you couldn't
I don't care
see
how
anything.
Intentional it was. I understand that that's probably the scenario they were in. But you know what? The Battle of Helm's Deep probably would have been pretty damn dark too. But we got to actually visually enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. You anyway. That's a whole nother thing. But as we're getting into these caverns, we're attacked by Beskar armor wearing or clad stormtroopers.
Mm-hmm. Which are one of my favorite new stormtroopers. They are freaking awesome.
Well, they are. I mean, they're definitely a match. And we've seen this with Mando. He utilizes his armor a lot as a defensive tool.
He's very bent forward to protect his limbs, his joints, and everything. And stormtroopers are not. They are still stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like that. It's just sort of a tactic that they all use. Now, the one thing that the Mandalorians have going for them that maybe these troopers don't is that the Mandalorians are going to understand the weaknesses in the armor.
Yes.
And while it looked like in the beginning they were having some trouble, they eventually, did fixate under the neck, behind, your hamstrings and everything, see some of the knife work come out.
Well,
so
what better person to be able to assassinate someone in Beskar than someone in Beskar who's been in it for their entire life?
Exactly.
Just they kind of screwed themselves in a way. I mean, it's obviously a step up from a stormtrooper, but not that much.
Well, the thing is,
because they didn't lose many people.
True.
In this process.
The thing about stormtroopers are they were never necessarily like the elite, but it was numbers and tactics that sort of aided in the trooper, and we're even talking about like clone troopers.
It was almost Normandy tactics, just throw as many bodies at it as possible, and that's how they won. Yeah,
no, I would agree with you on that. But even when we look at like the clone troopers were able to take down Jedi. And you wouldn't have necessarily thought that would have been realistic, but when you think about it, and it's been talked about a lot, where in a scenario where you're fighting, eventually even a Jedi will tire, and they can only block shots for so long. And if you get just a ton of volume, it's almost it's near impossible.
Yeah. Except for Yoda in the opening menu of Revenge of the Sith on DVD.
Yeah, that's true.
That little guy will survive forever. I have
Yeah, but it is important to note that troopers were a volume force. So anyway, we do get to the point where we're sort of chased down and chased into a trap. Our Mandalorians are sort of cut into two forces, and Mando is captured. He is captured, and we show Moff Gideon in his suit, and he gets to do his, Giancarlo Stanton monologue.
Yeah.
Who we're not.
Can I point out one thing?
Yeah.
That is as nitpicky can be. Will not be a mark against this episode at all. But when you are holding a Mandalorian in full Beskar armor in a position where they are trapped, why would you point the blaster at their helmet? Why wouldn't you put the blaster right up against their neck? Like, why would you?
That's fair.
What is that going to do? Because a little blaster pistol like that, the recoil won't even affect him. He'll just headbutt it out of your hand. You know?
Yeah. And
clearly, he's got no chance of surviving this if he were to attack. But, like, it just shows the naivete of the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to what we were saying. All about mass, all volume. Anyway.
Nope, I'm with you there, and that's definitely a good call out. But Gideon, so he has Mando. Rest of the Mandalorians are behind a blast door. They're taking Mando to the debriefing room, and they're getting ready to launch their TIE bombers to try and take out the Mandalorian fleet. Now, we did miss one part where old Dick Wolf took off, just into space, to potentially warn the fleet, and we'll get to that here in a bit. Actually, I don't even know if I don't think that was really a part of this episode where we continue that, but he was able to escape. Mm-hmm. And then we get, a section where we're able to, cut a hole in the blast door, and Paz Vizsla does his tank routine.
Yes, the ultimate warrior.
This was a lot of fun for me personally. I think this entire deal. First of all, whenever I played what was it? Battlefront 2. I always loved going out there as a heavy gunner. Yeah. I just thought it was fun to just lay down fire, even though you
can be the guy that lays in the background snipes, but let's be honest, who doesn't want to be the minigun wielder?
Yeah, and I mean the deal is that the darn thing is not particularly, at least in that game at the time, was not particularly effective. You really had to put some shots down, but it was always a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, whereas Paz here has perfect accuracy because he does not. This isn't one of those typical last stand scenes where clearly he should kill a bunch of people, but like he might kill one or two. No, he is pinpoint accurate with this chain gun, and he is a force to be reckoned with, and he always is. He really always is. But Paz Vizsla has become one of my favorite characters up to this point. He really has had a great arc, even though we don't get a lot of background with him, but the way that he changes, and I don't know, his heart is definitely something to call out. He's a great character.
Yeah, they did an excellent job of developing him as a character, and there's really nothing more to say. They just did a great job.
Yeah.
Now he does deal with our troopers, but remember, we also asked for
guns do overheat.
True, but we also asked for 3 Praetorian guards.
Yes, which no one really gives credit to, because I feel like Praetorian guards were kind of ruined a bit in both Revenge of the Sith and a few other places, because they're just kind of thrown around like rag dolls, quite literally, and ignored. But they are a force to be reckoned with. They are truly one of the most elite warriors in all the galaxy. Up there with, I would compare one of them to like 10 Yuuzhan Vong warriors, personally.
Well, they're very skilled, but, in The Last Jedi, we got to see not necessarily the Praetorian guards, but, a variant of that fight, Kylo Ren and Rey. And that was a beautiful scene.
It was. It was that was the pinnacle of the new trilogy, I think.
Right. And they obviously gave the two a run for their money. There's no doubt about that, but they were defeated. Yeah. And I think that's the point. They should be able to stand up to any non-force wielder and even give a force wielder a run for their money, because they are the elite. But I think it was a good use of them here. And, Paz really didn't have... He really didn't do well. I hate to
No.
say it.
And if Paz had the dark saber, I think he would have probably won this fight. Paz is not a pushover, and he wasn't meant to be
No.
looked at as a pushover in this scene. Um,
But
he was
three
outnumbered.
against one is tough.
He was outnumbered. He had a knife.
Yep. And a shield.
Blaster. Yes. If he had his blaster, he would have killed them. There's no doubt about that. The Praetorian armor is not Beskar, so it is definitely something you could have dealt with. So,
well, it might be Beskar. We don't really know.
Could be for this. Could be for this. It's never been mentioned that I know of.
Yeah.
So I could be completely wrong there. Yeah, anyone mention that if you do know if that is Beskar armor, be kind of cool to know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he is vested in this, and it's a very sobering moment. And we cut right after his death.
Well, and that's how you should set up a finale, though. You
Yes.
do have to give the good guys a reason for pause. That maybe they won't make it out of this.
And I do think in a scene of sacrifice, there's something to be said about a character dying without reaction from anyone else in the cast, and for it to be the last moments of an episode. It's very jarring, and it's very it's memorable.
Yeah.
For the most part, when that happens. I mean, that's all. Not that this is necessarily a good guy, but like think of the Sopranos. How that ended. Essentially, it's not even a theory. It's been kind of verified by the writer of the show. The end of the Sopranos is him being shot in the back of the head. It's just instant death, and that's basically what we get here. And then fade to black. So it's a good method, and I really appreciate that they used it on this.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
I got my mouse back.
Cool. Good thing, because there's a lot to look up.
I know. It's so fun.
I will say, totally dropped the ball. Didn't look up IMDb, so it's a good thing you got back.
Yeah, so awesome. We should probably move into the rating portion here and give this thing a nice little rating. IMDb currently, with a little over 16,000 votes, has this episode at an 8.8. Believe that?
Okay.
That is the highest of the entire season.
Interesting. Do you have access to the entire series? I'm interested to see if that's the highest rated episode. I don't think it is.
Oh, ever?
Well, it couldn't be because, clearly it couldn't be.
So, it's not the Jedi where we see Ahsoka is currently at a 9.3.
Where's our finale with Luke at?
9.8.
Okay.
So last season was rated particularly high. There was only one episode that was below an 8, and that was a 7.8, and that was the episode 2. Okay. Let's actually look at season 1. I'm just curious now.
Death of IG would probably be pretty high up there, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, season 1 had 2 episodes that were below an 8, a 7.5 for the Gunslinger and a 7.7 for the Sanctuary. But yeah, I mean, its highest rated episode, and again, IMDb was the finale Redemption at a 9.2. So yeah, I mean, there's some pretty highly rated episodes. Season 3 is really where we have a bigger drop. But 8.8 is what they have this episode at. So what are you going to give it and why?
Okay. Well, let me preface it with this. I annoy myself so much with this. I don't know where I rated my highest ranked episodes, which would be the Ahsoka episode, and also, obviously anything with Luke, I rate extremely high. So I apologize if this contradicts any of the ratings. I'm sure it will. But this is the best episode of the season so far, and it's by very far. I think that the aesthetics of this episode were very well curated. They made Mandalore just a amazing spectacle. Everything about it, from the music to the visuals, was great. Our little encounter with the Beast wasn't overblown, which I appreciate because we have been very Beast heavy on this season. So I appreciate how they used it. Our interactions between the different factions are really interesting. The way that Bo conducts herself dealing with these different factions and trying to be very neutral and understanding to all their different beliefs, upbringings, and situations and circumstances lends to her character, lends to her leadership ability. When I for a split second when Mando pledged his fealty to her, I had a moment where I thought, we're getting away from it being about Mando. But I stopped and thought about it, and it's a very good natural progression of things. It makes sense that he would do this, and I think it's also character progression for him in this episode because he acknowledges some of the flaws in his group by doing it, and also opens himself up for some interesting potential scenes in the future, I think. Potentially being a sacrifice for Bo, even if we want to end the season or the series that way. Everything with Paz Vizsla was awesome. His sacrifice was one of the most epic scenes I've seen on Star Wars TV. And this is definitely in the top 3 for me. This episode was great in every way. I have no real complaints about it, honestly. So I'm going to rate it at 9.4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. So, I mean, first and foremost, it was a great episode. It was set up very, very well. The just the setting, the walk through our kind of reveal that there are these troopers and Gideon's sort of faction here on Mandalore operating again out of Mandalore. So I think that there's a ton to love in that regard. And the sacrifice of Paz Vizsla at the end was it was a very good way to go, for a warrior, so to speak. So I definitely appreciate that a lot. I appreciate, kind of as you were saying there with, Bo and sort of being able to bridge the gap a little bit here between the two Mandalorian factions. I think that's an important thing to be able to, one, do, and two, to be able to show. So I really like the way that played out. I don't know. I mean, even seeing our sort of survivors from the purge and them reconnecting with Bo and not even for a second thinking that they wouldn't follow her into this effort. The creature thing was a little bit random, but okay, fair enough, not a big deal there. But I do temper a little bit, just mainly because it is a setup episode, and I mean, I know the finale because I've watched it. You don't. So I tend to try and go a little bit less on setup episodes, just as a general rule, being more cautious, because I like to see how the story plays out. I know how the story plays out, so I can kind of be a little bit more concise, I suppose. But I don't know if I have the episode in the 9s. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not quite sure if I have that in me to throw it that high. Because I do think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's a feeling I get where I'm not quite feeling the flow overall as much as I did in some of like last year's episode or last season's episodes, where everything was just very controlled in one little story arc. But I did really enjoy myself, so I can't go 9. I'm gonna go 8.9. I'm gonna go above the IMDb rating, And I think an 8.9 is where I'm going to settle on it.
Yeah, right on. I'm sure that opinion for me will probably change a little bit seeing the finale. Just probably the most excited I've been on the season, so I'm a little gung ho. I'll admit that.
No, that's good, man. I'm glad you're excited. To see the rest.
Yeah. And also, neither of us touched on IG-12. Need we say more? Just
it was
amazing.
Yeah, it was a fun part of the episode. Lot of fun to get little Grogu involved with the mech suit, and obviously you'll see a little bit more of how that pans out as we go into the next episode. So
yeah, excited. We're very late, but we're finally there. We are about to hit our finale.
100%, man. We're chugging towards the end. So
just in time for 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. Well, hopefully all of you enjoyed the episode here. I know we're still pretty far behind, and hopefully the technical difficulties about midway through didn't take you out of it, because God, I hate when that happens. You just have that panic moment. Yeah. But we'll do better next time, I swear.
Maybe.
But yeah, anything else we need to chat about before we head out?
I think we're good.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you joining, and as always, and providing far more commentary than I could or can. but yeah, if any of you would like to interact with the show, we do have the social media at TC Plan Podcast, Twitter, Facebook. We're not crazy active there, but it's there. If you do want to get a hold of us just to talk about Star Wars or whatever, tcplanpodcast@gmail.com is our email, and we'd be happy to discuss anything that you think would be relevant to a Star Wars podcast. So I believe that is it. So y'all have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.